Hi Petro,
Hi, hello.
how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm amazing. I'm excited for this interview. I am excited to find the candidate. So yeah, let's start. I'm gonna be your technical interviewer. We are a company called. It is outsource slash outstaff based company. We are 8 years on the market. Currently, we are mainly based in Canada, Ottawa, and currently our company contains 200 developers. So I'm gonna be interviewing you for the front end position. We're looking for somebody who has strong knowledge in React, TypeScript, Redux, and all that stuff. Do you have any additional question about our company, what we do, our philosophy, or anything?
Uh, Not really. I would like probably also clarify. You're looking for a developer for specific project or just in general to because you're growing?
Mainly because we're growing, so we are looking to add somebody strong in our team who can help us with our existing projects and with new projects as well.
Okay, all right.
Before Petro, before we start, can you tell me a little about yourself?
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Well, I am a front-end developer
Nice.
basically. So actually, I have experiences backend as well, especially with
Good.
Express.js, Nest.js, a bit with AWS. But I wouldn't say that I am like senior backend developer. I am really expert on in front yet. For now, mostly I was working with React.js, Redux,
Yeah.
TypeScript, a lot of additional libraries like .li, Undesign, Tailwind, WebSockets. Of course,
Sure.
I do prefer to use TypeScript if in any large projects.
Yeah.
So previously, I was working in some local companies in Ukraine. It
Yeah.
was also outsourced companies.
Yeah. So you must be familiar with what we do, like the
Yeah, for
general
sure.
format.
For sure. Then I was working on also Canada company. It was product one. We were
Mhm.
developing. We were creating task manager from scratch, something like
Mhm. Like Jira.
Jira. Yes.
Uh,
We used Redux, React, TypeScript on front end, and Nest.js on backend, and also integrated AWS.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then I was working on one more company. We were creating also our own product. It was
Mhm.
online cinema from scratch. It was quite massive,
Mhm.
and I was working on that company for last maybe 3 years.
So you got lots of experience and lots of companies in your resume, right?
Yep.
That sounds good because we need somebody who has like varied and interesting complex experience. So it was a very good introduction from you. I think we can go ahead to the interview, right?
Yep.
So interview is basically will contain two parts. First part is like general questions to assess your knowledge and understanding of different technologies, and second part is more practical. You will need to tell me the execution results of different JavaScript pieces of code, but it's like not real coding, so it also shouldn't be like very hard for you.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's start with the first part and with the general section of questions. What is event loop in JavaScript and how it works? I think it's nowadays it's very classical and common question, so you should know it.
Well, event loop, that's basically how asynchronous works in JavaScript.
Yeah.
And basically, it has whole stack and queue, and event loop checks whole stack all the time. And once it's empty, it gets the first function from queue and pushes to the stack.
Yeah, let's move to the next question, which is like very important in especially large projects. How do you handle errors in JavaScript in general?
Usually, I use try catch blocks.
Mhm, mhm. Oh yeah. Are there any other ways, for example, in React, like
In React.js, we have error
yeah,
boundaries.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, let's move to the next question. Uh, you told me you have some experience with TypeScript, so can you tell me about the concept of generics in TypeScript, some applications, why would we need those generics?
Generic type allows to define like dynamic type or functions.
Yeah.
It's like generally allows you to avoid any type. But for example, if you will use generic and function will take like a string, it should return string, same type.
Okay, let's move to the next question. Also TypeScript related. Why do we need declaration files in TypeScript? Do you know about d.ts files?
Yeah, I usually add this file to the project if I need to type any JavaScript libraries that don't have like TypeScript support from the beginning.
So you are adding some missing TypeScript support from libraries where author left the information about it, yeah?
Yeah.
That's tough. That's very brave of you.
Yeah, sometimes it's very annoying me.
You're like TypeScript hero.
Yep.
Okay. Uh, um, okay, that's it. Let's move to the next block, and this block will be about React.js related questions. So the first question on React, can you describe me the component lifecycle methods in React? What methods we have? What do they do?
Okay. Component will mount, component did mount, component should update, will update, did update, and will unmount. Well, everything what about mounting.
Do we really use those mentioned methods?
I don't use them because I don't use class components last time.
Yeah. And what about, for example, useEffect lifecycle?
Well, the useEffect basically allows to implement these lifecycle methods. It takes callback function as a first parameter and array of dependencies as a second one. And once any dependency will be changed, this callback function will be executed.
Why would we need to use useEffect, for example?
For example, if we need to execute any logic in some specific time, for example, after mounting or to clean something, we can return just one more function in our callback function.
Let's say we have some e-commerce website like Amazon. Can you tell me, you are, for example, let's say you are Amazon developer. Can you tell me some cases where would you apply useEffect? It's a tricky question, but not so tricky. I just want you to think.
I would use it everywhere probably. For example, for to fetch some data.
Yeah, that works.
Backend.
Yeah.
After first mounting, so we will show some loading stuff if we don't have any data, and in useEffect we will fetch data. It will fetch something, save in store, and then after it we will show it.
Okay, that works. And talking about performance, how can we improve performance in React?
We can use React Memo.
For example?
Yeah, for example, to avoid any unnecessary renders. Code splitting, that's React Lazy, suspense, to create like small chunks and load only chunks that we need, because in large projects our bundle size will be huge, and to load everything what we have in our project, that's insane. That's crazy actually. You need to split it using React Lazy, and sometimes we can also use useMemo and useCallback to improve our performance.
Yeah, let's go ahead with the next question. Let's say you have a big component project and you need to pass down some properties in this hierarchy tree. So the question is, what would you use, context or just pass props the way they are?
Well, in large projects, I would definitely prefer context or any library to store data in global state. If it's just simple to-do list, we can don't use any libraries.
Can you tell me why context is preferable than just passing props down the hierarchy tree?
Well, if you're talking only about context, use context hook. It allows to store all data in global state. It allows you to do not pass props through every single component and just grab in one component where you need it. and also it's just very comfortable to store all data in one place.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes the problem is that once you change something in useContext, it will trigger render of all components.
Yeah,
That
that's a
is,
trade-off.
yes, that is nested.
Yeah, awesome. Let's move to the next question. I think you have already answered about handling errors in React. You said you use errorBoundary, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna skip my question. I have like not so many questions for you. Next, last related question to React. Tell me the difference between optimization hooks, useMemo, and useCallback.
Well, useMemo is used to memo is the result of function call, and useCallback is used to save the reference for function.
I
Do not
think
recreate
useMemo
it.
is used for memorizing object information,
Yes.
and callback is for function.
Yes. Well, useMemo actually it also uses if we have a pretty big calculation,
Yeah.
and we don't need to execute it every render during
Hence
every render.
memorization.
Yes.
All right, let's move to the next section of questions. And the next question is Redux immutable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Why is immutability important in Redux?
Well, Redux actually objects are identified by reference in React.js, not by their values. So we cannot just directly change the property of object in normal Redux, not Redux toolkit. If we will do it, if I'm not mistaken, the value will be changed, but there won't be any renders.
So it's optimization thing.
Yes, it is, and we need to return new object.
Okay, let's move forward. And can you tell me whether you have it? I think you mentioned you work with Redux.
Yes.
Can you tell me some Redux-like libraries you worked with?
Redux libraries, you mean selectors?
No. I mean Redux-like libraries. There are some libraries that based on the Redux model, but they are not officially called Redux.
Okay.
But they still do state management.
Redux toolkit, maybe.
Oh yeah. So can you compare Redux and Redux Toolkit? You worked with both, is it correct?
Yes. So I actually do prefer Redux toolkit if we are creating project from scratch, because it uses simplified setup, simplified syntax, and also it has immer integration. It means that you don't need to return a new object each time. Every time you can just simply rewrite object property.
So it's just more efficient for developers because you write less code.
Yeah, for sure.
And talking about Redux, have you used the feature of middleware?
Yes.
What are some examples, and why did you use middleware?
Well, I used Redux Thunk and a little bit Redux Saga. We actually can create our own middleware just to execute any logic before our actions will reach reducers. But the most popular is Redux Thunk to handle asynchronous actions. And Saga is for more complex one, as I understand. It's based on functions generators using yield keyword. But I mostly used Redux Thunk.
Okay. The final Redux question: have you used selectors? And I think you have used selectors?
Yes, I used.
Can you tell me the practical application of Redux selectors? For example, going back to Amazon, why would we need to use selector on Amazon if you have Redux?
Okay, so if we would like to use React plus Redux stack, creating new Amazon, we would definitely need selectors, I guess, because that's really massive application. And I use selectors for such really huge applications to improve reliability and to improve structure. Yes, that's all. I guess they need only to improve readability.
Because they allow us to derive some value.
Yes.
Okay, I have my last question in the theoretical part, and thereafter we're gonna move to the more practical part. So, Git, um, can you tell me what's the difference between git merge and git rebase commands?
Git merge combines our branches and it creates a new commit. It merges a new commit. But git rebase move our commits to the tip of another branch. So it allows. Actually, we need to use git rebase if we want to improve our like git history and make it more linear, because the goal, the purpose of git rebase and git merge is the same. Is they differs just only method how they do it.
Let's move to the practical part, right?
Yep.
So, for this part, I'm gonna share my screen. And have you worked with JSPen website?
Yes.
It's like CodePen, but more like for JavaScript. So the idea is, on the left side, I've got a piece of code, and I'm gonna execute this piece of code. For the first task, can you tell me the context of this error function?
It's gonna be undefined.
Undefined.
Yes.
Are you ready to test, or you want to explain me your thinking?
I guess it's gonna be undefined because
You're very confident.
arrow function don't have their own this context.
Yeah, it's correct. So and that was easy for you, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's move to another one. So this time the function is slightly different. What are we gonna have in the console this time?
Here we will get, I guess, a string what, because we use we don't use arrow function, we use like general one.
You want to think some more, or you ready to test?
I'm ready to test.
Okay, let's test. And yeah, that's what. You're correct. Next one. Yeah. Next piece of code. It's getting more trickier. So think about it for some time and tell me your thinking and the execution result. Do you want to make the screen bigger?
Yeah, it would be great if you would make
Is
it a
it
little
good?
bit bigger. Yes, yes, it's fine.
Fine.
Well, it's a little bit tricky, as I remember, var doesn't create a new scope for each interaction. So maybe it's gonna be 5 times 5, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, let's test it. Yeah, exactly, it's correct, because timeout is gonna be it's going back to this event loop concept. It's gonna be derived in time. So for loop is gonna calculate and only then print this value. That's the reason it prints 555, not like 012. Yeah. Let's move to the next question. Is it the screen big enough for you, or
Yes, it's enough.
that's enough? So next time we have more code. And can you tell me the result of this execution?
Yeah, I need to think a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Take your time.
Well, I guess it's gonna be 25, because here we actually don't use this somehow. So it binds a new this function, but in console we are going to show our variable a,
Yeah.
but it doesn't use this, so doesn't matter that you bind here something.
It's actually been a while since I gave this task, so I actually don't remember the result myself. So let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, you're correct. I mean, somebody is, so it's like really 25. Yeah. The next one. Okay. This one, it is a classic question based on the event loop concept, because on this question you're gonna tell me what's gonna be executed first, second, third, and so on. It's very like event loop based question. If you know the event loop model, it's gonna be easier for you to answer the way JavaScript works asynchronously. So think hard and try to like analyze what's going to be executed in which order.
All right, I think the first one will be executed console log.
Right.
So we will see final first. Then the priority for event loop is promises. I mean, the timeout will be executed the last.
Yeah.
So first synchronous code, that's console log, then promise 1, promise 2, and then event loop will execute timeouts. After promise 2, we will see the timeout 1, set timeout 1, and then maybe, yes, set timeout 3. Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be the final one.
Yes, and then set timeout 2.
And then the last one is
Set timeout 2, because I guess the timeout 3 will be before second.
So let's actually try it out, right?
Yeah, let's try it out.
So yeah. It's final because that's in the event loop, JavaScript executes first. Then we have like micro and macro queues in JavaScript in event loop, and promises are executed first before set timeouts, and then we're having set timeout execution because they are executed last. And the combination of those two is executed the afterwards of all of that. So basically promise and set them out, they derive the execution. I think you were correct on this one. Yeah, let's move to the final question of the day, and let's call it a day. So screen, should I make it bigger or?
No, that's fine.
That's fine. Okay. So it looks like the first equation, but there's like this extra part added with the bind method. Can you tell me the execution result of this thing?
I'm not sure, but I think console we will see a string.
Okay, let's give it a shot. And it's 1, 2, 3. So you're not exactly lucky today, but it's not hate. Anyways, that was it for the second part. I am done with my questions. Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, how long it's gonna take to give me feedback?
Yeah, so sure, exactly. So we have a couple more candidates lined up. I'm gonna interview them, and after that, I will assess the best candidate. So I think, do you know Jessica from HR?
Yep.
So I think Jessica from HR, she's gonna contact you in about 5 days or maybe 1 week, or it depends on the load. 1 or 2 weeks, I think it should be enough to give you a response on this job position.
Okay, thank you. I guess it's all. I don't have any additional questions for now.
Sounds, it was very nice talking to you, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.